So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, Caleb Plant has says that Canelo Alvarez has lost some of his big fights. And he says that he's 3-1. He lost to Lara, he lost to Golovkin, and lost to Mayweather. So he goes, he's been fighting these UK level guys and beating them, but that's okay. But in some of his big fights, he's lost them. I don't agree with Caleb Plant there, to be honest. I do think the Lara fight was close, and I thought Canelo nicked that fight. I think, personally, the other fight that he mentioned, Golovkin, the first fight, I thought he lost that one. I did think he lost that one. The Mayweather fight was obviously a hard fight, but then he beat Golovkin. I thought he beat Lara. Let's not forget he beat Jacobs, right? That was a big fight. Callum Smith was the #1 super middleweight, and then he beat Saunders, who was another champion. You know, Cotto was a great fighter. He beat Khan. That was a big fight. You know, so when you think about Canelo's resume, and then you start having a look at it, like if we look at Caleb Plant's resume, he won the title at Utsakatsi, right? And then after that, who's he fought? You know, it's funny how all of these guys love to dig up Canelo's resume. The reason why Canelo looked vulnerable in those fights, I'll tell you why. Because those were good fighters, and when you fight good fighters, you're tested. When people say, oh, Canelo lost to Lara, Canelo got, he looked not great against Golovkin. Yeah, because those guys are good fighters. Oh, the fight with Cotto, yeah, Cotto's a legend. Do you expect him to go in there against these top guys and just smoke them? Like, what do you, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like the same thing I've heard over the years with Brook fans, on this channel, where a lot of the Brook fans were like, oh, Brook, but that's because Khan fought better fighters than Brook. That's why he looked more vulnerable, because when Brook finally stepped up against Porter and Spence and that, he didn't look as good, did he? He looked more human. But when he was fighting those lower level European, British level fighters and washing them, it was a lot easy. Why? Because when you step up level, right, it's harder. As Saunders found out last Saturday, it's a lot easier to fight guys that are lower level, right? It's a lot easier to look good against them. But when you fight Canelo, it's a lot harder. And Caleb Plant will probably find out the hard way as well. Because it's a lot easier to fight the level that Plant's fighting at, look great, and then look at Canelo's resume and say, oh, well, he lost to him. All of those guys are way better fighters than Caleb Plant. Lara, Mayweather, Golovkin. All of those guys are a lot more accomplished, better fighters. Lara was just unlucky in terms of, he couldn't get the big fights because of his style and how good he was. But Canelo went in the ring with him. And when you go in the ring with top quality fighters like Lara, like Mayweather, like Golovkin, like Jacobs, you're going to look vulnerable. It's not going to be easy because those guys are good. That's how boxing works. When you're fighting at a very high level, you're not going to smoke everyone. You're not going to look fantastic all the time. Because you're fighting the best of the division. You're fighting the best out there. And those guys are good. See, when you're if Canelo had fought the guys at Caleb Plant's level, right, he would look unbelievable. He'd be knocking them out in 3 rounds. So, if he'd been fighting at the level that Plant be fighting at, Canelo would be laughed at. People ridicule him that, what's this? This is rubbish. What is this? Do you see Canelo fight Saunders and Callum Smith, world champions, and then people say, oh, well, he's fighting UK level guys. And then they like to pick out his performances where he didn't look as good. But yeah, because he's fighting top level opposition. You look at any fighter, right? And Canelo hasn't got a lot of weaknesses, but he has got weaknesses, of course. Every fighter does. But his weaknesses, aren't that big. There's not that many. But every fighter that steps up and fights at a very high level consistently like Canelo does isn't going to look fantastic all the time, because you're fighting different styles, guys of different sizes, strengths, weakness, and they're very good at what they do. So you're not going to look fantastic all the time. So when Caleb Plant steps up and Caleb Plant fights a Benavidez, or Caleb Plant fights a Canelo, or Caleb Plant fights a Saunders, then we'll find out how good Caleb Plant is. And let's not forget, before the fight, Caleb Plant was saying he expects Billy Joe, he expects Canelo to win, but he expects Billy Joe to give Canelo a hard fight. Now afterwards, he's changed his tune, saying that, oh, well, he's fighting these UK level guys. But before the fight, you were saying that Billy Joe would give Canelo trouble. And now he's saying, oh, he's fighting these UK level guys. But listen, I think Plant's a good fighter. I actually like Plant. He's a good fighter. He's actually very, very quick. And I actually think that Plant could be a tougher fight. I know some of you will disagree because now Canelo's beaten Saunders. And you want to... Some fans will make out like that win was great. And it was a great win. Don't get me wrong. Billy Joe's a good fighter. But I don't think Billy Joe's a big 168. Plant's a legitimate big 168. Remember that. Billy Joe's a middleweight. He was really a blown-up middleweight, really. He's not really a 168 fighter. They're talking about him going back down to middleweight, which would probably be the best move for Billy Joe, because he's just not big or strong enough, you know, at 168, especially against the big 168 guys. He hadn't really fought anyone at 168 as well. At least Plant had beaten Utsakatsi, who was a champion. Not to say Utsakatsi was, you know, different class champion. He was a good fighter, though. But I just think Plant's foot speed, hand speed could cause Canelo a bit of trouble. Because I saw Plant on the Pacquiao undercard and I was very impressed. And I do expect him to cause Canelo a few issues, but I think Canelo just takes over, too strong, punches too hard, and I don't think Plant's got any power to keep Canelo off. And I just think Canelo will I'd say late stoppage in that one as well. Like I said about Saunders, I think it's a late stoppage. But I do think Plant might be a bit more tricky. Because Plant is bigger, naturally bigger than Saunders, right? He just hasn't got the pop in his punches to really keep Canelo off. Because Canelo, as we know, he's a beast. Canelo's a beast. So with Canelo, you just can't keep him off nowadays. You know, he hits you hard to the body, slows you down. He's got a granite chin. So you just can't see Plant really being able to stop Canelo in his tracks. And Canelo's relentless. Plant's a good fighter, though. Don't get it twisted. Plant is a good fighter. I've seen Plant fight. I know he didn't look good in his last fight against Truax, but Plant is a good fighter because I've seen him. He's got skills. He's definitely got skills, and he's had a hard way to the top. It's just the fact that Canelo's different level. He's different level. Plant's always I can't get my words out. Plant's all talking about the money as well. He's talking about the fact that, you know, he wants to be respected. And, you know, he's hearing what these guys got paid to fight Canelo. And, yeah, he knows his worth and he doesn't want a penny more or a penny less. So I think that might be an issue because Plant might want some serious money. I think you know, if he thinks that what Billy Joe got paid, which was about $8 million, is not enough, then... you know, he might be asking for something in the eight figure area for that fight. Plus, it is a bigger fight because it'd be undisputed. It'd be for the undisputed. It'd be for all of the marbles. So Plant might have it off because of that. Because, you know, sometimes the situation just puts you in a great position. Now, Plant's very unknown. He hasn't got the profile that Saunders has got, but he might get a bigger payday just because of the fact that it's an undisputed fight. See, sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. And Plant might just find himself in the right place at the right time. Because it's for all the marbles. I know Plant only holds one of the marbles. But it's for all of the marbles. So Plant might find him. And at the end of the day, Canelo... he might not mind giving a couple mil here or there. Giving up a couple mil. To become the undisputed. Because we all know Canelo's loaded and got a load of money. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Plant gets something in 10-12 million range mark. If I'm for the fight, even though you know, from a profile standpoint, you'd say that Plant isn't that big a name where he would merit that kind of money, but he is a champion and he would be involved in an undisputed fight, so you can't knock him. You know, it's definitely, you can't say, well, he doesn't deserve it. It's an undisputed fight, So sometimes you fight, like I said, right place at the right time, and he may get a huge purse for that fight, Plant. So it makes a lot of sense for Plant to take that fight next, and for Al Heyman and Fox to make that fight. I'm pretty sure Plant's gonna want that fight badly because he knows the payday that's gonna come in, and his team's gonna want it as well. It's just that I think there may be an issue with Fox and DAZN, because if DAZN are willing to put up more money, I don't know how that'll impact Canelo's purse or Plant's purse. Then, I'm not sure Fox are going to want that fight on another platform, because I'm pretty sure Fox have got Plant under contract, or Al Heyman's got Plant under contract. I don't know what the situation is there, whether there's any flexibility where Plant can go and fight on DAZN, especially if DAZN, because I know DAZN are going to be looking to splash a lot of money at that fight because of the fact that the numbers that Canelo Saunders did were through the roof. So they want Canelo on their platform. And the fact that fight will be for the undisputed, I'm pretty sure DAZN are going to be willing to bid a huge amount of money for that. But then again, Fox, also knowing the fact that they can make that a pay-per-view and that be for the undisputed and how big a star Canelo is, they know that if they put that fight on pay-per-view, make it $100, that many people will buy it. So they can generate a lot of money as well. So I think both broadcasters are going to be doing all they can to get it on their platform. I would, to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind. I would prefer it on DAZN, because I'm pretty sure if it's on Fox, they'll find a broadcaster here to put it on, and they'll probably stick it on pay-per-view. Obviously, we like the DAZN model because of the fact that it's $1.99 here in the UK, £1.99. So it's probably like $3.50 for us here a month. So, it's a bargain right now. I know they're going to increase the price, but so I would love it to be on DAZN. But I think it's going to be tough because I think Fox are going to not just give up. They're going to be looking to put that on their platform, especially the fact that Canelo Alvarez hasn't got any kind of he's not tied down with any broadcaster or promoter. So the only reason he did that 2-fight deal with Eddie Hearn, because he knew that he was going to fight Saunders. So he was going to fight Yildirim and then fight Billy Joe. So that's why he did a 2-fight deal. But he didn't say get stuck in a 6-fight deal with Matchroom. He only did 2-fight. So he doesn't have to work with Eddie Hearn next. If Eddie Hearn's going to be the issue, I think Canelo wants Eddie Hearn to be on his team and wants him to get him the Plant fight. But I think he's kind of kept it open that if that's going to be an issue in making that fight, then he can do it himself. I personally think he likes Eddie Hearn on his team, and I think Canelo Alvarez will have Eddie Hearn as his promoter for the rest of his career. I might be wrong because, we just don't know. Eddie Hearn's got a lot of fighters, and, we all know that he's got Anthony Joshua, he's got Canelo Alvarez, but now he's got two of the biggest stars in the sport. He's got both of them. So Eddie Hearn's in a great position from a promotional standpoint. He's got the biggest star in America, and he's got the biggest star in the UK. He really is making waves. Really is making waves. In world boxing. So, you'd have to say right now, Matchroom are the biggest promotional company in the world. And what I mean by that, when you've got Anthony Joshua, and when you're promoting Anthony Joshua and Canelo Alvarez, I don't think anyone can really argue with that, because both of those guys, from a numbers point of view and filling out stadiums, are on another level to any other fighter. So, really, Eddie Hearn as a promoter has really done well. He's really done well. We all knew he was big in the UK, but now to come over to the US and make the moves that he's done, I think you have to commend him. You have to say that, fair play. The guy's done a great job. And let's see if he can get Canelo Alvarez this Plant fight, because Canelo is looking to Eddie Hearn to make the Plant fight. Eddie Hearn said he is having discussions with PBC. I hope that fight gets made next, because I think people think that Canelo will beat Plant. I think what people are interested in what happens after that, because they think that, is he going to go to light heavyweight? Is he going to fight Charlo? I think that's when it gets interesting. I don't think Plant should be overlooked, because I think Plant's a really good fighter. But when you're dealing with someone like Canelo, who's so highly rated and people just think is best out there, I just think people are overlooking Plant and saying Canelo's going to beat him. I've already seen people say that, but I actually think it's going to be a good fight. I mean, it's going to be a good fight. Obviously, I picked Canelo to win, but I think it's not going to be a bad fight. I think when people are saying he's going to knock him out in 3-4 rounds, I don't see that. I don't see him knocking out in 3-4 rounds. Canelo's not a one-punch knockout artist at 168. Yeah, he's definitely got power that can hurt you, but I don't think he's a big puncher at 168. I think he can punch, but I don't think he's a a knockout artist at 168. Do you see what I mean? I don't think he's a huge banger at 168. But I definitely think he's got power. And if he catches you like he did with Saunders, I think he's got the kind of power to hurt you or end the fight for sure. But I don't think I think these guys at 168 can take his power. And we saw that with Saunders. Saunders took a lot of shots before that one as well. So and Saunders again is not a big 168. He's not a big 168 guy. You know, he's a smaller, he's more middleweight really. And this is a guy that has actually said that he could make light middleweight. I remember when Dominic Ingle was talking about, I remember Billy Joe Saunders called out Amir Khan, and Dominic Ingle actually said Billy Joe can make light middleweight. I don't know whether he's ever fought at light middleweight. Might have done early on in his career. But yeah, said he could even make light middleweight if he lives the life. So that again shows you that Billy Joe's not really a big super middleweight at all. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's other fights out there for him. Benavidez, Charlo, Andrade. You know, there's some, you know, and then Beterbiev, Bivol. These are like 5 names that are out there that people would like to see him fight. So let's see, man. Let's see. I'm excited about Canelo's future. I think there's some big fights out there. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, though, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.